There will be a period of time after your procedure that you won't be able to do many things that you might want to do, especially during beautiful summer days. So we recommend you time your procedure with your vacation accordingly.
Your aftercare is so important in order for you to get good results that last for the time that it's supposed to last. Hi everyone, my name is Kelly.
My name's Akita.
And today we are going to talk about aftercare for PMU. I'm going to tell you guys all of the aftercare instructions regarding nano brows, permanent eyeliner, lip blush, and SMP. So today we're going to be going these 4 aftercare guidelines for these 4 procedures. And hopefully this will help you guys be better prepared to get your permanent makeup done, especially in the summer when more aftercare instructions are going to be necessary. And there's going to be more things you have to worry about in the summer regarding healing your permanent makeup.
We know that a lot of you decided to get permanent makeup just in time for summer, and you might be surprised to find out that there's some things that you can't do while you're in the process of healing from your procedures.
Everyone's aftercare is going to be slightly different. What I'm going to describe here is pretty universal. But if you have any questions, make sure to ask your own artist. Aftercare is also going to be half the battle. If you don't take good care of your tattoo as it's healing, you're not going to get as good of a result as somebody else who did follow their aftercare instructions down to the T. Let's begin with our aftercare guidelines for nano brows. No soap for 7 days. You should always use your healing serum or any recovery serum that's provided by your technician. You should keep the area dry when you're not applying that healing ointment. No exfoliants, no skin treatment, no picking, no sun or sunbeds, especially no UV exposure.
It's a lot of no's.
And minimize salt, aka sweat.
So I noticed you said no soap for 7 days. Are we still allowed to wash our eyebrows with water, just clean water?
Yes, absolutely. For RealTint permanent makeup, you are actually allowed to touch water to your skin immediately after your procedure. And this might contradict, like I mentioned earlier, everybody has different aftercare instructions. This might contradict some other people's aftercare instructions, and that's totally fine because our technology is different. So when you get nano brows done by me, it's not the same as microblading. You're not going to be digging through the skin with a knife. So it's a very safe, minimally invasive procedure. For that reason, you are able to put water directly onto the skin, and it should never ever affect your results. Avoid soap for the first 7 days. Definitely wash your skin. Do not let your skin go unwashed for 7 days. That would lead to a lot of problems.
Yeah, the general name of the game is anything that could irritate your skin after the procedure, you should try to avoid doing. So we do recommend you wash the area with water and then just gently pat dry afterwards with a towel, with a clean towel. I remember we were talking about how we can't use any sort of lotions or any sort of ointments with active ingredients. Can I use something like aloe vera gel, for example?
Yeah, so if you get aloe vera gel, that's either directly from the plant itself. I know a lot of us have the aloe vera plants. You just rub it on your skin. That's totally fine. It's not going to irritate your skin. If you get 100% aloe vera gel from the pharmacy or anything, that's also totally fine. Just make sure to apply everything in moderation. Don't put too much of anything. Don't let your skin get sopping, soggy, wet, because the more you let your skin stay super wet and not necessarily super clean, the more likelihood there will be for bacterial growth. So with that said, aloe vera gel is no problem. Using your healing ointment, no problem. If for some reason you don't have a healing ointment, aloe vera gel could do the trick in a pinch. It also would heal the skin. So if you have a specific product you want to use, definitely bring that product to your PMU tech. We're not gonna just say like, oh, you can only use our healing ointments. Like, we'll actually genuinely tell you whether this is safe or not safe to use on healing skin following the tattoo. Because there are some ingredients that are very, very much to be avoided, and there are some ingredients that are totally safe. So we'll definitely tell you what you can and can't use.
But as a general rule, anything with exfoliants in it, no go.
Chemical exfoliants, physical exfoliants, anything that has actives, retinols, definitely no. Prescription topical creams are definitely no's because the active ingredient is what usually warrants that prescription to begin with.
Yeah.
Vitamin C, definitely a no. Retinols are there to exfoliate the skin, bring out the new layer from underneath. But the problem is when you have that happening while you have a healing tattoo, you might actually push out the tattooed skin sooner than it should, resulting in patchiness, resulting in loss of pigment, and potentially even irritating that open area because it's still open skin.
Yeah, it's in the process of healing, and you don't want to mess with your body's natural healing process. I remember you mentioned that you shouldn't exercise and you should minimize sweating. Am I allowed to do any sort of exercise, swim, anything like that?
Oh, that's a good question. So I would say stick to low impact exercises, especially during the summer. I would say keep the exercise to a minimum for at least the first 2 weeks. This is very important because you want to minimize all that sweating. You want to minimize your pores opening and having all that sweat come out of your skin and potentially lifting that pigment along with it. So for that, try to minimize sweating by doing low impact exercises like yoga, not hot yoga, obviously. Pilates, that's pretty low impact. Swimming is a really, really great exercise for low impact, but unfortunately, you really can't get that procedure area wet with chlorine water. So I would say, and specifically not salt water either, I just want to make it very clear. Chlorinated water, salt water, they're both no-goes.
Yeah.
If you can somehow find a way to get your skin, keep your skin fully away from it by wearing like really big goggles or something like that, I can see that would work for the eyebrows. But I mean, you really don't want to risk it. You really would want to stay away from swimming for at least the first 2 weeks.
Even if you want to draw yourself a clean water bath, we would still warn against that because your body has bacteria on it and your body is also shedding cells, and that could potentially get in through the open spots in your eyebrows where you just got your procedure done.
If you love hot showers, if you love baths, try to abstain for at least 1 to 2 weeks because the steam from the saunas, the bath, the hot showers, it could interfere with the healing process. It could draw out that pigment because your skin, the pores are going to open wider and the pigment would not retain as well in that case.
Yeah, I love hot showers, so yeah. I'm not going to get nanobrows, but I also don't really need to, So sometimes I hear from some of my friends that got the procedure done that there could be a little bit of scabbing on the eyebrow section. Am I allowed to pick at it or anything like that?
I think everybody knows the answer to this question.
Yeah.
Never pick a scab, even if you're not getting a tattoo done anytime soon, which I'm not sure why you're at this video, but yeah, never, ever, ever pick a scab. That is the worst thing you could possibly do. When you pick a scab, you're ripping out live skin along with the dead skin. There's a reason why you wait for the scab to fall out, is so that the connection between live and dead skin is fully severed. That thing just comes right off.
Yeah.
Do not rip it off. Do not rip it off.
If you pick at it or you rip it off, there's a risk that that area might start bleeding. You could introduce all sorts of infections, all sorts of bad stuff in there. So definitely just wait.
And even if it doesn't bleed, you could potentially leave yourself vulnerable to forming a scar, because when trauma like that happens from pulling a scab, a lot of times there will be some scar tissue. So you really do want to avoid that. You want to avoid that at all costs, honestly. Don't pick your scab.
Don't do that. Can the tattoo disappear and reappear at times?
So for nanobrows, sometimes this will happen. This is commonly referred to as ghosting in the PMU world. So when that happens, it's usually because as the skin is healing itself, so the live layer of the skin might be obscuring that pigment.
Gotcha. So don't start freaking out at the earliest sight of, your tattoo disappearing. And I hear that it's somewhere between 2 to 3 weeks that it could disappear for 3 weeks and then come back after that. If it doesn't come back after a month, we recommend you check in with your PMU tech, because sometimes they might not deposit the ink deep enough and it'll just slow away as the skin cells fall off. So yeah, you should definitely talk to them about that afterwards.
When your PMU tech deposits the ink too shallow, it comes off with the dead layer of the skin. And in that case, it wouldn't come back. If it doesn't come back after 4 weeks, it's pretty much it's not implanted correctly, and that's not really an issue with aftercare.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that if your pigment isn't as visible in the first or second week, you want to make sure to keep an eye on it, that it comes back by the third and fourth week. By the fourth week, you'll see your final results from your initial procedure. And remember that nano brows will require a touch-up procedure in 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, write that down on your calendar from the start of your procedure and just keep track of it. So I think that just about wraps up the aftercare procedures for nano brows, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So let's move on to eyeliner.
So for eyeliner, it's going to be more or less the same as brows. No soap for 7 days. Use that healing ointment on that procedure area. It is eye safe. The healing ointment that we offer at Hyper Real Academy is fully eye safe, just FYI. Clean your eye area every single morning. Do not forget to clean your skin, especially the eyes. It's going to be really, really important not to let that dirt get introduced into the skin, especially not when we sleep. So remember, every morning, clean your eyes. Keep the tears to a minimum if possible. I know life happens. I think that if you have naturally watery eyes, make sure to keep a tissue on hand, blot that area dry. Similar to eyebrows, just try your best. If you get watery eyes, blot that area as much as possible to make sure that the procedure area stays reasonably dry.
We recommend you just do all your crying before you get your procedure done, or wait a month afterwards and just get your cry on after that.
Schedule it.
Simple as that, yeah.
No lash extensions for when you...
Okay.
No lash extensions because of the chemicals in the glue. And also try your best not to show up with lash extensions to the appointment, because it's going to be impossible to get the tattooing done, and we're not going to be able to take your appointment. We'll have to reschedule you.
Yeah.
No mascara for at least, I want to say at least 2 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks, no mascara. Sunglasses are a must to keep that area out of contact from the UV rays. Make sure to use an eye-safe SPF, such as this one right here. That way you could really, really keep your procedure area protected from the sun. Always use big sunglasses to protect that general eye area, especially if you're going to be outside.
Yeah. Your eyes have very thin skin, and that results in a much lower resistance to dangerous UV rays. And on top of that, after the procedure, that area is going to be extra sensitive and extra tender. So definitely wear your eyeglasses when you're going outside. Make sure that they're UV rated. Make sure that you're using some sort of UV cream as well. Just be safe, you know? Your eyes, you only get one pair of eyes per life, unless there's been some crazy medical advances since we released this video. But I mean, yeah, just be smart. Yeah, so somebody with, you know, 2 eyes and a great love for seeing the world, is it possible that my vision could be damaged after the procedure?
No, there isn't a risk of that. We're going to be tattooing the skin, not tattooing your eyeball. And for that reason, it should never, ever, ever affect your vision, especially not when you do a RealTint procedure. There's really no risk of that. Your vision doesn't get impacted by what goes onto the skin. However, your vision might be temporarily affected if there is significant swelling. So swelling is the only factor that could potentially affect vision immediately after the procedure. And even that only has, I would say, like about a 12-hour timeline. Yeah. Yeah, if a client has really, really hooded eyes, and if they experience some swelling following the procedure, that swelling might be annoying. It might impact your vision, but it should resolve in well before 12 hours. I would say like 6 hours tops.
So as somebody who's got the LASIK procedure done, I sometimes need to use eye drops because my eyes get really dry. Can I use eye drops after getting the eyeliner procedure done?
Yes, you can use eye drops, especially if you need them. If you have LASIK, if you really need your eye drop, just make sure to blot that area immediately after you apply the drops, so that way you don't collect excessive moisture around that skin area, because that area is going to be very sensitive. It's going to be delicate. You really want to keep it dry from products as much as you can. And you also want to make sure to use that healing serum.
you want to use the most neutral eye drips you can do, the ones that don't have any sort of active ingredients.
If you have a prescription for certain drops, you want to make sure to let your technician know, because if anything, we might have to reschedule you because of that.
Yeah, for sure. So for the people without LASIK and the people that want to wear contacts, are we allowed to do so after the procedure?
We recommend that you do not put contacts in for at least 2 to 3 days following the procedure. It's important because putting in contacts, you're pushing your finger against the eye area. It's really difficult to make that a delicate process. And yeah, contacts are not recommended for sure for 2 to 3 days at least. Try your best to just make do with eyeglasses for that time.
Yeah, something to keep in mind. I remember when we were talking about Nano brows, you mentioned that we need to do a touch-up then. Do we need a touch-up for eyeliner?
No. For a lot of people, this is going to be very confusing, and this is where my aftercare kind of differs a little bit. So for RealTint permanent makeup, eyeliner doesn't require a touch-up. You just do the initial procedure and you're good for at least 2 years before you need a color refresh or to touch up that area to make it sharper and crisper. You don't need a 4 to 6 week touch-up appointment.
Cool, good to know. And that concludes our PMU eyeliner, our RealTint PMU Eyeliner Aftercare. So let's talk about Lip Blush Aftercare.
So for our lip aftercare, this is going to be a 2-part thing. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the pre-care procedure. I highly recommend getting a round of antivirals from your doctor. You want to prevent getting a cold sore if possible.
You want to make sure that you're recovering properly. So you want to minimize all of the outside risks. And that includes cold sores.
Yes.
Or for cold sores, it's more like the inside risk.
Yes.
Anyways, another thing to keep in mind before getting your lip blush procedure is to make sure that you have not gotten filler for at least 4 weeks before the procedure.
Botox and filler, they have their own healing time to worry about. They have their own aftercare routine to follow. So you really don't want that to be put too close to your permanent makeup procedure because it could affect the results in a negative way.
Yeah.
And we'd like to avoid that as much as possible. So for the lip aftercare, it's going to be the same as everything else. No soap for 7 days. Use your healing serum. Limit spicy foods for the first week if you can. Limit salty foods for the first week and a half, at least. No lip scrubs. That should honestly go without saying. No lip scrubs.
No exfoliants, nothing that could possibly damage the surface of your skin. So I know you mentioned that we should be taking antivirals for about 4 weeks before the procedure. Should we still be expecting cold sores even with the antivirals?
Honestly, no. I think that the outbreaks should be very, very significantly reduced by the medicine alone.
The important thing to note though is that if you don't take the antivirals and you've never had cold sores, there is a high possibility that you could be developing cold sores, which is why we recommend to preemptively take antivirals. You might not even have a history of cold sores, but they could still happen after you get your lip blush procedure.
That would be the worst surprise on earth. That's just like, ugh.
So don't take the risk. Just take antivirals.
So the needle entering the skin could potentially trigger an outbreak if you do have... It's the bumblebee. Are you gonna jump in the... So a cold sore could be triggered by just the action of the needle entering into the skin. That's not uncommon. Not everybody will develop a cold sore, guaranteed. I just noticed that a lot of people do, and it's honestly just because of the needle entering the skin. That's sometimes enough to trigger an outbreak, but not always.
Yeah.
Having the antivirals just help. It just helps as a little security net.
I know we talked a lot about, you know, chapstick and all of the things that you can put on and can't put on. Can we still put on lip balms and lip masks?
Yes. So lip products are generally safe for the healing process, especially when they're fragrance-free, they're all natural, there's no active ingredients, no retinols, anything like that. Plumping products, don't get that. It's gonna irritate your skin. It's gonna feel crazy. I don't think it's gonna affect your results, but it's just gonna feel crazy especially against open skin. Try your best to avoid fragrances if possible, because that will irritate the skin. Lip plumpers, goes without saying, it's gonna irritate the skin.
Before you go in for your lip blush procedure, we highly recommend you gather all of the different things that you think you might be using, all of the ointments, the lip balms, bring them in and just have your PMU tech look them over to
Yes.
So, I mean, asking is free, so just do that.
Yes, asking is free. We highly encourage it.
And once again, does PMU lip blush require a touch-up?
No. So this is where a lot of people might start arguments with me. So at Hyperreal Academy, our RealTint lip blush, it does not require a touch-up. Believe it or not, it's going to be good for over 2 years before you need an annual color refresh. And that's very, very much so because of our technology. We have very, very high-end machines. We have custom needles with patented cartridges. So when we do a procedure, it is done and it's perfect following the first procedure, and it very rarely requires a touch-up after 4 to 6 weeks. So there is no 4 to 6 week touch-up appointment when it comes to RealTint lip blush. And that's where our lip blush procedure is more unique than the rest. And that's why I have to really differentiate that. So yes, lip blush usually does require 2 procedures. Here at Hyperreal Academy, it only requires 1.
That concludes the aftercare instructions for lip blush. Next, we'll be talking about the aftercare instructions for scalp micropigmentation, or SMP.
So for SMP, like every other permanent makeup procedure, no soap for 7 days, but that also includes shampoo, remember. You're gonna use your healing serum. So the healing serum is also very important for SMP. You wanna minimize sweating, and I think everybody sweats from their head, so you wanna make sure to minimize that as much as possible. And if you are a sweaty person, try your best to keep a towel around to address that. Wear hats to protect yourself from the sun. This is a cute little packable hat, courtesy of Nikita. This is a nice, lightweight, packable hat. Oh yeah, and it comes with a little string so it doesn't fly off your head, leaving your SMP exposed to the elements.
Ta-da!
This is very important. But at the same time, when you cover your head, you also want to make sure that you're not trapping a layer of sweat between your hat and your scalp. So very important to try your best to control your sweating, try your best to address excessive sweating, keep your head out of the sun as much as possible, wear a hat, keep a hat around, maybe invest in a little packable hat.
Yeah.
And limit your exercise program for at minimum 2 weeks so that your head can actually heal, your scalp can fully heal, and there's no interference from all the sweating. Our heads sweat so much, especially in the summer, so we do want to keep that in mind when we are planning our exercise routines. Minimize scratching the scalp as your procedure is healing. This is going to be very, very noticeable in the first and second week of the healing process. Your scalp is going to develop a new layer of skin as it's pushing the old layer out. You're gonna feel a lot of itching because there's so much friction between your hair follicles, your skin, your scabbing, and the pigment. So just make sure that you do not itch your scalp even if it's super annoying and it's super itchy. A method that I like to recommend for my clients is to fill a tiny little spray bottle with half water and half aloe vera juice, and you shake it up, leave it in the fridge so it's nice and chilly, and you can spray that on your head as your head gets itchy. So you don't have to really scratch at it much, you just spray it and it should be good.
Yeah. How should the healing serum be applied to the scalp?
So our healing serum at Hyperreal Academy, our RealTint healing serum, comes with a little tiny tube with a nozzle. So you can apply that to a Q-tip, or you can apply it to the tips of clean fingers, very clean, very important. And you just massage it onto your scalp, kind of like how you're shampooing, you just massage it onto the scalp very, very, very gently.
With the pads of your fingers, not the nails.
Oh yeah.
Can you swim or work out in between SMP sessions?
I would say give it at least 2 weeks. So SMP requires multiple sessions sometimes, usually 2 to 3 sessions. So you want to make sure that you avoid chlorinated pools, avoid saltwater pools, and avoid high impact exercises that lead to a lot of sweating. This is very important. Try to keep that going for at least 2 weeks, and then you can go back to exercising as normal.
Can you use any other hair restoration techniques while you're recovering from your SMP treatment?
Yes. So SMP can be done in conjunction with your oral medication, your prescription medications. You just have to make sure to clear that with your doctor who's prescribing the hair restoration medication, as well as with us, your PMU techs. So that way we can really have an understanding of what exactly you're taking and what kind of programs your doctor put you on. So for the most part, SMP can go alongside of the majority of hair restoration treatments, including hair transplant surgery. However, there are timelines to follow. You can't do tattoos immediately following surgery. There is a healing time to really keep in mind. So as long as you talk to your providers of each treatment and as long as they know what's going on, it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, good to know. And I believe that concludes the aftercare instructions for SMP. So from all of those instructions, we highly recommend that you pay attention to your aftercare instructions and try to book your procedure accurately. There will be a period of time after your procedure that you won't be able to do many things that you might want to do, especially during beautiful summer days. So we recommend you time your procedure with your vacation accordingly. Don't book it right before your vacation because you won't be able to swim, you won't be able to exercise, and you're just gonna have a crappy time on your beautiful vacation.
Aftercare makes such a big difference in the results of your permanent makeup session. So you want to make sure to stay diligent. You want to make sure to ask your permanent makeup technician every question that you might have. There really is no dumb question. We welcome every single question. Your aftercare is so important in order for you to get good results that last for the time that it's supposed to last. Here at Hyperreal Academy, we are happy to answer all questions. Leave your question about aftercare in the comments and we will answer all of your questions.
You can also DM us on Hyperreal Academy on Instagram and we'll answer your questions there too. Yeah.
And if you have any questions about booking a procedure, you can always ask us directly on hyperrealacademy.com. We answer all of our emails in 24 hours. So that's it for today's video. Click here to see the pros and cons of getting your PMU done in the summer.
And thank you for your time and stay tuned.